Om. Om. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamatsyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalam Achalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hari Om everybody. We had a break last week because of our AGM. So we continue with our chapter 4, and the last time we met, we had discussed verse number 24, which I told you is the heart of this chapter, where the realized master, it is not a deliberate superimposition. He knows, he has realized that the yajna, so into the fire, that whatever he's offering is Brahman, the fire is Brahman, the offering ghee or whatever is also Brahman, the ladle is Brahman, the one who is offering, he himself is Brahman, everything is Brahman. It is not a deliberate superimposition. It is not like he sees, it is not like he sees the Shivling and says it is Lord Shiva. That is not how it is. He just sees it. So this is the highest type of yajna, where he sees only Brahman. And that's why we chant this before our meals, because even eating should be like a yajna. So there is a digestive fire within us, Vaishvanara, which Bhagwan in chapter 15 will say, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva. So I only become the digestive fire inside of you. So the fire is him. The food that we are offering is him. The hand which is offering the food into the mouth is him. And for whom it is being offered, for my own self, that also is Brahman only. And that's why this verse is chanted before meals. And this is the highest. And now he's going to enumerate many, many yajnas. The first, in 25, he gives Daiva Yajna and Brahma Yajna. I told you the first one is rituals, where we are praying to the deities for results. But the second one, Brahmagna Vapare Yajnam Yajne Nevopajyati. So the lower self is offered onto the higher self. So the second line is subtler than the first one. The first one can be also taken as a subtle, where you're offering things for your own senses, or externally you are praying to the deities for results. So that is also yajna, because when you're doing rituals from the karma kanda, it is also yajna. So there are certain rituals that there are certain rules that you follow. Sometimes there are, even simple Satyanarayan puja, they say you should fast before you do the puja, those type of rules, right? So that also becomes a yajna. But the second one is more subtle, more important, because you're offering the ego into the higher self. That is what. So there is nothing outside, just within the lower self, the small I is offered into the big I. And that is what the second line was. We had completed that. And then we saw the senses. So there was Shama and Dhamma in the next one, 26, where the line 1 was more subtle. So what is happening is that the senses, faculty of the senses, not the physical senses. So the faculties which are subtle, I've told you that my eyes may be perfect, but I may not be able to see. So the fleshy eye looks perfect, but so there is the fleshy eye which can be seen, and then there is the faculty of seeing which cannot be seen by other people. So that faculty is offered into the control of fire. The control means they are controlled, means the senses are controlled in that Sanyama Agni, Sanyama control, fire of control. So that when the person is capable of doing that, then what happens? The second line, what is saying, is a grosser line, that the objects are offered onto the senses. Offered means what? Taken in. So there's color and form, the eye see color and form, the ears hear, etc. But we can take it at two, let's do it at two levels. So if we talk of a person who is realized, or who is a very great yogi, what he has done line 1 first. Let's put it that way. So line 1 has been done, means what has he done? He has already controlled all his senses in the control of fire. They're under his complete control. The mind is under his complete control. Now, once the mind is under his control or her control, then whatever comes in from outside, he's not worried. Because see, the senses are taking the perceptions in and the mind is running out. Isn't it? The senses are not running out. Senses take in, mind runs out. That is how the sequence is. Now this mind, therefore line 1, first he has controlled. Is controlled in the fire of control. He has controlled the mind. Now let the senses bring in whatever. What does it matter? Because the mind is under control. It is not running out. It is not running out. Okay, so he allows whatever comes. A realized master, that's why we are seeing the portion in Vivek Churamani. I can't believe how, parallel they are. Prarabdha of a saint we saw on Friday. So what he says is, it is my prarabdha that this movie has come to me, this person has come to me, this food has come to me. It doesn't matter to me because my mind is under control. It is not going to go haywire. No matter what comes into me, my mind is under my control. You get this point? That's why this line 1 he has mastered. Therefore, first he has, what we do, we say, our mind is not under our, we have not done line 1. Okay, mind is not under our control. And then we are taking in all these sense objects inside. Then what is going to happen to the mind? Right? So first he has controlled the mind, which is more, control of the mind is more important than control of the senses. Because to a certain extent, you can close your eyes and not see things outside, or you can put ear buds and then not hear anything, right? But how do you do that to the mind? With your eyes closed, mind can see many things. With your ears closed, mind can hear, taste, whatever. Mind can do anything. Mind is the king. So if the mind is controlled first, then it doesn't matter what is this is what these are, these two yajnas: control of the mind, shama, and then control of the senses, dhamma. So there's shama and dhamma. Now we were on 27, where he is now controlling the pranas. This is pranayama. Pranayama, we must know that it should not, number 1 is, it should not be done without the guidance of a proper guru. Okay, pranayama is control of the pranas. Pranayama is recommended because the pranas and the mind are interrelated. Their source is the pure consciousness. They are like two branches of the same tree. You control one branch, the other branch automatically comes under control, is the principle. And it's true. When you control the pranas, which are grosser than the mind will automatically come under control. That is how it is. Now, so what he's doing is all sarvani, indriyani, karmani, prana karmani chapare, sacrifices all the functions of the senses and the breath in the fire of the yoga of self. Okay, in the pranas. So he is now controlling his pranas, practicing pranayama, And in what is he controlling the pranayamas? That is line number 2. In Atma Sanyama Yoga Agni, Atma Sanyama Agni. Note the difference between the previous verse, the word was Sanyama Agni. This verse is saying Atma Sanyama Yagna, and there is one more word added, which is Jnana Deepite. Jnana Deepite means lit by the fire of knowledge. How has he lit this fire? With knowledge. So he has, what knowledge is it? Knowledge of the oneness. He has got the knowledge which has lit the fire of Atma Sanyama. That is how it is. So this in this fire of Atma, in the fire of Atma itself, now he's offering all the senses. You know, in the simple terms, it is Samadhi. This is Samadhi. Because all the senses are now offered into Atma direct. Means everything is merged. Offered means what? It's all merged. Everything is merged into Atma Sanyama. There are 2 types of Samadhis. Okay, one is known as Badha Purvak Samadhi and one is Laya Purvak Samadhi. Badha Purvak Samadhi means where the world is falsified, completely falsified. That is Badha Purvak. And the term that we have heard for this Badha Purvak Samadhi is Nirvikalpa Samadhi, also known as Nirbija Samadhi. Nirbija seed, Nirbija without seed. What means what? Without seed means what? Means all the seeds are burnt. What is the seed? Vasanas. In our chart, that V is representing what? See, seed is the cause of a tree. Right? Seed is the cause, tree is the effect. So vasanas are the cause, and whatever the body, mind, intellect is experiencing is the effect. So in this offering, all the senses, all the objects, everything now has been offered into the fire which has been lit by knowledge. Means what? Means he has gone into Samadhi. Because what is the knowledge? It is not a knowledge of anything external. It is a knowledge that Jiva Brahma Aikya is there. That is, I'm one with the Supreme Self. That is the knowledge. Jnana Deepite represents that knowledge. So in that knowledge, this fire has been now kindled. And in that fire, he has offered all the senses. Therefore, now he goes into Nirbija Samadhi or Nirvikalpa Samadhi, where the entire world is completely falsified. That is the highest. That is the highest. The Laya Purvak Samadhi, Badha falsification, Laya dissolution. So in Laya Purvak Samadhi, what he's doing is, he sees the world and he says, where has the world come from? There are thoughts. The world has come from Maya. Jnana Deepite is there. There's Jnana. World has come from Maya. And what is the substratum of Maya? Brahman. So with this thought modification, he is dissolving the world. He is dissolving the world. So therefore, this type of Samadhi is Laya Purvak or Savikalpa Samadhi, where there is that one little thought, I am Brahman. Or it is also known as Sabija Samadhi. Sabija, that bija is there, the I, that is the seed. I am Brahman. So there is Brahman, there is I am Brahman. So this is Laya Purvak Samadhi. So in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi is definitely higher than the Savikalpa. Suddenly to go into Nirvikalpa is not possible. You have to go via the Savikalpa. So you have to come to a stage where your mind is absolutely, dhyana is there. Dharana, dhyana, samadhi we have in the Ashtanga Yoga. Dharana is the practice of keeping the mind on the thought, I am Brahman, because the mind is constantly running. The mind is constantly running. So to keep the mind, so first you practice keeping the mind at one spot, and the spot in Vedantic meditation is always Aham Brahmasmi. In dhyana, that practice is perfected. The mind is now completely under your control, and it has been asked to only meditate on I am Brahman, and it is meditating on I am Brahman, which is Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Savikalpa Samadhi. Why? Because there is a thought, I am Brahman. When he keeps that mind there at that point for long periods of time, he enters Nirvikalpa Samadhi, which is I am. That's it. That's it. I am. So these are these two samadhis that can happen. This is a verse about samadhi. So that's why it is. So that's what it is said. Jnana Deepite. Those two words are important. Jnana Deepite and Atma Sanyam Yoga. Atma Sanyam, in the fire of knowledge. What knowledge? I am Brahman. This fire, now this fire of knowledge, that's why knowledge is called as fire, because fire burns all the impurities. See, when you get gold from the mines, then it is heated, na? Fire, tap. That's why that word comes tapas. Now we'll be talking about tapas in the next verse. So in that fire, which is lit because of the knowledge, he offers all the senses, everything, objects as well as the senses. And then first he dissolves the world, Laya Purvak Samadhi, and then he falsifies it completely, means it's not there. Falsification is not there. Dissolution, it is there, and I have dissolved it. Falsification is not there only. What is there to dissolve? That is the difference. Okay. Next one is important in the sense it is very practical for us, because we can do that. Because see, all these yajnas when we read, it's high. Now this one is very good. And because these yajnas are given so that at least we can practice some of them. And the next one, we can practice all of them. So that's why the next verse 28 is important. Dravya yajnas tapo yajnaha yoga yajnas tap chapare swadhyaya jnana yajnascha yataya sanshita vrataha. This book is so old that the letters are all like in thick ink. So sometimes I'm like, is it thapre or chapre? That's why. Okay. Anyway, others again offer wealth, austerity, and yoga as sacrifice, while the ascetics of self-restraint and rigid vows offer study of scriptures and knowledge as sacrifice. Now, there are 5 yajnas that are mentioned in this verse. Okay, so let's take them one by one. So Dravya Yajna is the first one. Dravya, wealth. Okay. Next is Tapa Yajna, Tapo Yajna. All right, Tapo Yajna. Then Yoga Yajna. If you break the words in the first line, it starts with Dravya Yajna, then Tapo Yajna. So all these are Yajnas. Dravya also can become an Yajna. Tapa is Yajna. Yoga Yajna. So we have to see each one, we'll see. Swadhyaya Yajna. That also is Yajna, Swadhyaya. And then Jnana Yajna. So 5. Dravya Yajna, Tapo Yajna, Yoga Yajna, then there is Swadhyaya Yajna and Jnana Yajna. Now in this 5, Dravya Yajna is the grossest and Jnana Yajna is the subtlest. So it's going from gross to subtle. So now each one of them will take separately and we'll understand it so that we will know that we can do all these. Perhaps some of us are already doing all these. Some of you may already be doing. Okay. So now let's go with Dravya wealth. Now in Dravya Yajna, there are 2 kinds. And one is called as Purta and one is called as Datta. These are both Dravya Yajnas. Purta and Datta, I'll give you an example from the previous times, but in the modern times also I came up with very fantastic examples. Not that I'm fantastic, but I can see. means you can relate. See, because if I tell, previously the people used to walk on foot, right? Yatris and all, they went to charge. There was no plane and bus and car and Uber. So they were walking. So what the people would do, some people, is they will build a dharmashala, like a motel. right? They will not give money, but they will, so that, or they used to call water fountain, right? Because in the summer they would travel, the yatris will be thirsty. So there will be what they used to call pyayu, pyayu is fountain, water. So they will construct that water fountain for the people. That is known as Purta Yajna. It is also a Dravya Yajna, but physical money transfer is not there. Okay. And then this Purta, this is Purta, and Datta is where physically money is given. And what example came to my mind was the modern example is food bank. So if you go into superstore, there is a bin there. They say you give non-perishable goods. That is one type of Dravya Yajna, which is known as Purta in Sanskrit. And Datta is you can directly give money to the food bank. Even Red Cross, either you give blood or you give money. They both fall under Dravya Yajna. Why is it Yajna? Because you are sacrificing something. See, Yajna, the meaning, the first most common meaning and the most popular meaning of Yajna is sacrifice. Some sacrifice has to happen. So either you buy the food and give, or you sacrifice your blood, or you give money. So even there you have sacrificed money. So Dravya Yajna. Okay, so that is Dravya Yajna. Tapo Yajna. Tapas. Tapas word comes from tapa. Tapa is fire, heat. And tapo yajna is done for pure. All these yajnas are done for purification. But tapas, and the most common tapas I've told you is fasting. Now fasting can have degrees, right? So one fast that they used to do in the previous times is on full moon day, they will eat one roti. Full. Then as the moon wanes, that roti will become that much less that they eat. That much less, up to when they come to new moon, no roti, because no moon. Chandrayana Yajna it was called. Chandrayana. It depends on the Chandra, on the moon. Like how big is the moon, that much roti they eat. That's tapas. Because you see, they are now such a big sacrifice it is. Modern days, we have somebody fasting on Monday, Thursday, Saturday, whatever. Ekadashi fast, I told you. Shivratri fast, I've told you. My mom used to do it with like sabudana, everything. As children, we actually liked it because there was more things she made and different things than what everyday food was there. So we actually liked it. But then when I went to the ashram, they said only bananas and milk. There was nothing else. The whole cooks were given holiday. It was holiday for them. There was no cooking done, right? So degree can be there. So whatever that you can do, you do. Don't try to do something that because somebody else is doing it. If your body can't handle it, especially if you have diabetes, I would not recommend any kind of milk and banana, which is going to take your sugar level to God knows what. So but something you can do. You can say on this day, if you like, and you know how tapas has to be. Something that you like, you must give up. Something which will pinch you. You know, there is a thing, people go to Kashi and they are supposed to let go of something, right? They will let go something that they don't like or which is not available, like. So one guy went and he said, what are you talking? I have given up the thing that I love the most. And they said, oh, what have you given up? My wife? I gave up my wife. So you have to give up something that you like. So when that thing comes in front of you, which you really like, you say, no, 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 no. I went to Kashi and I gave this up. And, now I shouldn't be eating. That becomes then tapa. Tapa is not, if you suppose it's not available only in this country, something, and I go there and I give it up because I'm living in this country, there's not available. So there's no question of it coming in front of my eyes. That is not the idea. So this tapas, therefore it becomes an yajna because it is purifying you. Okay, so tapo yajna. Then yoga yajna. Yoga is what is this yoga yajna? Is this Patanjali's Ashtanga yoga? That is yoga yajna, this one. And here I want to talk about, there is the yama and niyama. So Ashtanga, what is Ashtanga yoga? We know yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Okay, so this yoga yajna here refers to yama and niyama, the first two. You can do the higher ones as you go higher, you can do. But at our level, what we need to follow is this yama and niyama. Now, yama is control, niyama is a rule, niyam is rule. So yama, there are 5 things in yama. There is ahimsa, asteya, aparigraha, and I can never suddenly do this, but let me just give me 1 second here. There are 5 things in yama and 5 things in so yama: ahimsa, asteya, aparigraha, satyam, and brahmacharya. That is yama. Okay, yama is to be done for, it is in relation to outside people, outside world. And niyama is only for me. Niyama doesn't concern outside people or outside world. And in niyama comes shaucha, cleanliness, santosha, tapa, swadhyaya, and ishvara pranidhan. Okay, so in yama, ahimsa, we know ahimsa, not to hurt anybody. So that's why the rules of yama, they are with respect to the external world. Means they are for me only. It is, yama also is control, so that is also like a rule. But yama is for, that's what we have to understand, the difference between yama and niyama. Niyama is only for me personally. It doesn't concern anybody else in that sense. So ahimsa first is, we have seen this many times, not hurting anybody by physically, a word, and even in the mind. So in the mind also, we should not wish ill of anybody. Ahimsa. Asteya, non-stealing. I read a new definition. I'm reading a book. It gives details of this. You know, this non-stealing, we say, of course, I'd never steal from, you know, I don't pick up things from the grocery, one apple in the bag. People do those things also, I heard in the COVID. Anyway, I don't do that thing. But, you know, they said that if you overeat, you are violating this asteya, because you have overeaten and you have taken food which somebody else could have eaten. Highest, this is, I also just read it just this week. I couldn't believe it. That's why I'm telling you this. We think, oh, coincidence. Just that portion now I'm reading, and now this verse is coming up. So they said, if you're hoarding clothes, which, you know, sometimes we don't even wear, you're stealing, they said. That is the highest. See, this lower thing we never do. None of us will do. You know, we'll pick up some of this money from so therefore, now what we have to do, we also in our spiritual studies, if we want to go higher, we need to up the ante, you know, like they say in gambling, they say that. So now I know that I'm not going to pick up anything which is not mine. I know that, right? But am I overeating? Am I hoarding? They said hoarding is stealing, because you're hoarding and maybe somebody else can use it. Right? Think about it. Asteya. Aparigraha is non-hoarding. And I told you the example, you know, like, don't keep things which you really don't need. Satyam, truthfulness. So you need to be truthful, where you are, what you think, what you say, and what you do is in alignment. Is in alignment, right? So when you say some things, then you must be, must do that. You know, so that's why don't say anything that you think you may not be able to do. Like, you know, oh, I promise I'll help you. I'll help you. Don't promise. If I can, I will. If I can't, I can't. Satyam. Brahmacharya, we've talked about it. Most common is restraint of the sensual sense, this thing, sex organs, but it's not that. It's control of all the organs. So therefore, these yamas, they have the outside world in mind. Now let's see niyama, shaucha, cleanliness. Really, it's just my own. I should cleanliness of the body, speech, and mind. everything, because we have these three instruments: body, speech, and mind. So cleanliness at all three levels. Santosha, this is what I want to talk about. Contentment, because there was a question in the previous class. Contentment, like I should be content with whatever that I have. And the question was, and Nitya, you had that, like when there is an employee who is not performing. So I was thinking about that. Now see, this Santosha is falling in Niyama, is not falling in Yama. So contentment, because it is Niyama, and Niyama is only form in my life, whatever situation that I am in, am I content or not? Now, when it comes to other people, you need not be content with his or her performance, because it is affecting your business. Whatever it is, you may be running a company, you may be running an office, whatever that you're running. Now, if that person is below par, performance is below par, then he or she needs to be told. And that doesn't fall under contentment, because contentment is falling under Niyama, it is not falling under Yama. So contentment as to whatever that I have, some people are just, no matter what they have, they're like, oh, it's a small house. So how many, I said, how many bedrooms? 4 bedrooms. Now, if you think, see, the thing is that where is the, so what is a big house for you? 8 bedrooms? Like, I don't understand, because I think my condo is big. There is only, so that is what contentment is. Like, you just be happy in whatever that you have, be happy that at least there is a 4-bedroom house. There are people who don't even have that much. So that is what contentment is. Tapa also falls under this, and tapa we have talked about is, again, tapa is again only for myself. Now, it is not, if I do fast, whatever, it is not concerning the world. I can do whatever kind of tapas that I want to do. I decide, oh, on Mondays, I won't eat chocolate. I have friends who say, but chocolate is only milk chocolate. So fast days, I can eat it. That's what her argument was. And I said, no, I have decided that I will not eat chocolate on Mondays, because I only, so that's my own thing. It's got nothing to do with anything external. Swadhyaya Yajna, he has said, so study of the scriptures, we'll talk about that, because he has also put that as separate. And Ishvara Pranidhan is surrender to the Lord. So whatever is done as a niyama and yama also, everything, and we have seen that karma to be converted into karma yoga has to be surrendered to the Lord. So Ishvara Pranidhan. So this yoga yajna refers to Ashtanga yoga of Patanjali. All right. And next is Swadhyaya Yajna. So study of the scriptures. In Vanaprastha ashram, this Swadhyaya becomes at the top. In Grahastha ashram, earning money is at the top. In Brahmachari ashram, studying not study of the scriptures, but study of what that you want to become. As a grahastha, you want to become an engineer, then you should study that. You want to become a doctor, you study that. Accountant, you study that. So in Brahmachari ashram also, studies is number 1, but that is studies of the external things which will, in grahastha ashram, allow me to earn wealth. And after I have done my grahastha ashram duties, so I have raised my children, I have this thing, then I have retired, because I don't need that income. I mean, at one point, if either you retire or they will retire you, whatever point, then study of the scriptures becomes more important than study of the outside world. So this Swadhyaya Yajna is study of the scriptures to gain knowledge about your own self, or in the beginning to gain knowledge about God, gain knowledge about the world also. World means not external subjects, but what is this? Who is the creator of this world? The 3 questions, they have to start popping up in this Swadhyaya. Who am I? What is the world, and who is the creator of the world? And that is what Vedanta is answering. So this Swadhyaya Yajna is study of the scriptures only. And that needs to be done. So, and next is Jnana Yajna, which is the subtlest. Jnana Yajna is not attending a Jnana Yajna. And this is where Gurudev has got this word, because that's why we call our yajnas as Jnana Yajnas, where you are offering the small I into the higher I. That's why this is the subtlest. This doesn't require scriptures. Swadhyaya, you will need a book. You have to read the book. In Jnana Yajna, no book is required. It is only a mental thing where you constantly surrender the ego into the higher self. Constantly remind yourself that you are not the small I, you are the big I. You're not the ego, you're the pure self. That is Jnana Yajna. So therefore it becomes the subtlest. And therefore I tell you that all of this we can do little. So Dravya Yajna, as per our position in life, we can do Dravya Yajna, right? We can give a little something to the food bank or little money here or there. We can do Dravya Yajna. Okay. Tapo Yajna. We can take up, even if we are not, maybe one day in the week, we can take, not even as a fast, we can just say, oh, I really like this thing. So maybe one day I won't eat, or one day I will eat. I know I have friends who they don't eat for the whole day, but then they'll have a full meal in the evening. Whatever type of, intermittent fasting is there, that whatever we can take up. I'm not saying do that Chandrayana Yajna, where the full moon only one roti and no. There are fasts like, Ekadashi, they said some people do it without water. I said, there's no way that I can handle that. Because of that, Ekadashi falls on my gym day, what I'm going to exercise without any water. So I can't. So you have to figure out what your body can handle and figure it out. And something you do little, huh? Then yama niyama we can follow, like ahimsa, asteya, all this little, at least we can follow, na? We should do as spiritual seekers, as students of Vedanta, as disciples of Gurudev, right? So little we must do. Shaucha, cleanliness. I suppose we do that. We should be content. One thing that book said, which was very, very nice. They said the only thing that you should not be content with is your sadhana. Their contentment is not allowed. Every other worldly things you be content, but don't be content with, oh, I've read so much, I did so much. Don't be content with your spiritual sadhana. That was very, very beautiful. So that's where what we do, we have contentment in that. I attended so many yajnas. Now I met Gurudev. I read Gita. Now what more to read? What Vivek Churamani also have to read, and such a big thing. I think I've read enough. People have said that to me. We know so much. I'm like, okay, what can I do? Right? Don't be content there. Don't think I'm attending, one class per week. That's enough. Don't think like that. Whatever you can do, you do. Okay. So that's this thing. And then tapas, swadhyay, ishwar, surrender. We have seen in chapter 3, every karma, because see, we are doing chapter 14 in the Saturday class, and then there was a question, how do I convert rajas into sattva? The only way, rajas, because it is born out of Trishna, that's what Bhagavan says, it's born out of a thirst for result. It binds you to action. The only way to get out of that bondage is to convert action into karma yoga. And Ishwara Pranidhan there comes into play. Surrender all you may do it for your desire only. Is asking you not to have a result in mind, but only surrender that result, that, oh Lord, I will do this work to the best of my ability, but if I don't get that result, I'll be okay. That's all we are asking. What happens with a person who is predominantly rajasic is, if I don't get it, I will be like, then so that should be toned down. That's the only way of converting rajas into sattva. Then swadhyaya, so little studies we must do. I told you, even if you're a grahastha, because there are no students here, but as grahasthas also, we definitely can find, if we can find time to watch our favorite show, then at least 10 minutes we can find to read some couple verses from the Gita, or little bit of whichever text, spiritual text. We must find this. We must find that, no matter how busy our schedule, or if you're so busy on weekdays, then at least weekends say that I will give half an hour to my study of reading. You can read any book, spiritual book, of any master, that is fine. Even Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle and all those included in this. Something we must do, that will fall under Swadhyaya. And Jnana Yajna, we can at least start thinking of Jnana Yajna at our level. At least don't think yourself as the body. That also will fall under Jnana Yajna. So this way, this is the practical application of this verse. And all of them are yajna. So we are doing yajna. So it is being done as a sacrifice. Okay, any questions? Clear? All right, next one. Apane juhyati pranam prane panam tatha pare pranapanagati rudhva pranayama parayanaha. Others offer a sacrifice, the outgoing breath in the incoming and the incoming in the outgoing, restraining the courses of the outgoing and incoming breaths, solely absorbed in the restraint of breath. This is Hatha Yoga, this is pranayama, which I told you should not be done. So pranayama in its scientific, the way theory I know, I have not done practical, is you hold one nostril, you take the breath in, then you hold the breath inside you, and then you close the one through which you've taken the breath, and then you let go out, let the breath go out of the other nostril, and then you hold the breath outside. So that's why this is Puraka is taking in, inhale, and then Kumbhaka is to hold inside, and then Rechaka is to exhale. Now in Kumbhaka, there is Antar Kumbhaka and Bahir Kumbhaka. So when you're holding the breath inside, and then you hold, and then then again you hold. Before you take the next breath, you hold. That is the very, very basic way of doing pranayama. So when you do that, like I told you, when you control the pranas, your mind will come under control. This is meant for those people who are more body oriented. See, there are 4 paths actually. There is Jnana Yoga, then there is Bhakti Yoga, then there is Karma Yoga, and then there is Hatha Yoga or Raja Yoga, right? So Jnana Yoga is supposed to be meant for the intellectuals who are more intellectually oriented. Bhakti Yoga who are more heart oriented. Karma Yoga is who have a balance between heart and head. And Hatha Yoga, those who they don't have these other 3, they are very body oriented. Then through the body, that's why Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, they're important, because Chitta Vritti Nirodha is their yoga. What is yoga? He says, Chitta Vritti Nirodha. See, through all the paths, ultimately what we are trying to do is control the mind. Ultimate bottom line is control. So through Jnana, you control. How Jnana? Everything is false. Mind is under control. It's not running. Through bhakti, everything is offered to the Lord. Whatever is coming is of the Lord. So that is through bhakti. Karma yoga, you're purifying yourself because all your actions you're offering to the Lord. So again, there is purification. And then this body. So what is mine is pranas. What is in the body? They're just using the body. They're not using anything else, right? So body has got pranas. So control the pranas, because pranas and mind are connected. So through controlling the pranas, but which is to be learned only from a master of pranayama, not just you control the mind. And therefore, Bhagwan Raman Maharshi, for us, what he says is just don't try to do this Puraka and Rechaka and Kumbhaka and all that. Just observe the breath. So in meditation, that is what you can do at our level without a master. Now, this is without a master because you just means concentrate the mind on the breath. What is being done is don't let the mind run somewhere else. Keep it trapped in the pranas. That's why even last time I told you, you close your eyes, and that's the practice that I am doing, is close the eyes and keep the mind focused here. Within, inside, right? Without opening your eyes. So that is all an attempt at holding the mind at one place. So whether you're holding it here or you're holding it in the breath. So you hold it in the breath, like exhale, inhale, exhale, and the mind is just watching that. So the mind is watching one thing. It's tied in with the pranas or here. And this is what this is. So there are some people, and that is also yajna, that is also sacrifice, right? It is because he is sitting at one place and doing it. You can't do pranayama running around here and there and walking and all that. You have to sit at one place and do it. So he says some others, that is what so that is how it becomes. They're offering the incoming breath into the outgoing breath. And so it is a yajna. And some people do this. And we can do the simpler form of it. This also we can do. Okay, any questions? All right. अपरे नियताहाराः प्राणान् प्राणेषु जुह्वति सर्वेऽप्येते यज्ञविदो यज्ञक्षपितकल्मषाः. Others with well-regulated diet offer vital airs in vital air. All these are knowers of sacrifice whose sins are destroyed by sacrifice. So others with well-regulated diet, ahara, when we use the word diet, the only thing that comes to us in our mind is food. But in Sanskrit, when we say ahara, ahara is anything that is taken in, and we take in things through the five senses. So it is not just food. It is color and form, it is sound, it is smell, it is touch, and it is taste. So all five are controlled in the vital airs. Vital airs are what? Prana, apana, vyana, samana, and udana. These are the five vital airs. There are sub-vital airs also, which are 49, but we are not right now concerned with that. We are just with these five major ones, which are controlling the physiological functions of the body. Okay. So every prana has this. Pranas have come from the rajasic aspect of the elements, so they are full of activity. They are active even when we sleep, because circulation and digestion is going on even when we sleep. Breathing is going on when we sleep. So even though we are asleep, they are awake. And now whatever is taken in through the five senses is offered into the vital airs. And also what they also do is there are five vital airs. They'll take one and the other four will be offered into that. This is why pranan praneshu juvati. In the pranas are offered. So what does it mean? In the pranas are offered means they will take prana and then the other four will be offered. So apana, vyana, udana, samana will. Then sometimes they will take apana and then they will offer the prana, the samana, udana into that. That is what is pranan praneshu juvat. In the pranas are offered. Means choose one prana and the other four are offered into it. I'll give you an example. See, there are these Manas Putras of Brahmaji, na? Sanat Kumaras. There are four of them. They're all realized masters. Okay. So apparently they would do satsang amongst themselves. So one day they will pick one brother. So he becomes the teacher, other three become the disciples. Next day they will pick brother number 2. So then he becomes the teacher. These three become, it's so beautiful, so cute, because they're all small and they just go in their Digambar Avastha, right? They're like Battus, right? Small, very, very cute kids. And then so every day it seems one brother will become the teacher, 3 will become disciple. Then the next day, next brother will become teacher. So this is how so this is what I thought. So today the yogi, this is difficult and I don't know how exactly it is done, but this is how people are doing it. Bhagavan is saying it. So they will pick one prana to be the main prana and then offer other 4 into that. Next day, second prana is picked, the 4 are offered into that, like that. And all the sense ahara, so all the sense objects that are coming in through the sense organs are offered into the pranas. All pranas, and then one prana taken, and so basically they are going from many to one, right? Many objects offered into the 5 pranas, then one prana chosen and all other 4s offered into that. So they're going from many to one. This is what they do. And in this, these are the knowers of sacrifice, means they know how to do it. There in that sacrifice, what happens is their sins get burnt, means what? They get purified. What is the meaning of sins getting burnt? Is purification. Another meaning of sins getting burnt is rajas and tamas reduces. See, when these people are doing all this yajnas, the tamas cannot be there. Na? There's rajas. Dynamic activity is there, right? So that's how they get purified. If you were to bring it down a little bit notch for us, not for this is they are doing all this, huh? But suppose for us, I have some notes here. So what the notes that I have for us is amount of food to be controlled. That is our yajna. That if I was eating so much, maybe I can try and eat less. And then time of eating is to be fixed. So, so what happens is it'll take care of the snacking. That's one thing we couldn't do in Sandipani. There was no food in the room. There was no food in the kitchen also. We ate breakfast and that's it. Until lunch, no food was seen anywhere, right? We used to keep something little in the room in between something. And then the third thing that we should control is quality of food, right? So we shouldn't eat things that this thing. And while doing all this, when you remember the Lord, and that we are doing, because that's why we said chant the Brahmarpanam Brahmahavi verse, right? So we have remembered the Lord. Then we control the quantity, quality, and the time. See, this is the control. That itself becomes a yajna. When I decide that I'm going to eat at 1 o'clock my lunch, and I'm not going to just go chabar here one biscuit, there one this thing, then that becomes a yajna for me. So we can do, suppose if we are used to, snacking in bit, of course, this doesn't apply for if there are any medical conditions, diabetics, or you have to eat at certain intervals, but even there we can follow. So when we do this, then we are doing this verse, because they are offering all the sense. So now this thing, amount of food could be controlled, but food you can expand it to other things. The amount of movies that I watch, amount of TV, how much TV I'm watching, that can be controlled, right? How much of music I hear. I know my friend, her radio is on. She doesn't have a TV, but her radio is on like 24/7. Like she actually told me her BC hydro was less when she had traveled or something, because the radio was not on those days. That much electricity she's using, right? So that it should be controlled, right? If we control, this is how this verse will have its practical application. Because honestly, I mean, I really don't know how you can take one prana and then control everything. We don't know that, okay? No need to know also. But we can control how much we eat, right? We can control the quality of the food. We can control the time of the food. And food we can expand into objects. How many movies do I, like in a week, I'm watching 7 movies, or I'm watching TV like morning 12 to evening 12. I can avoid all those. And then we'll have done this yajna. That will have purified us. Okay, any questions? We will stop here now today, and then next week, there is class. Oh yeah, next week is the long weekend, but I would like to hold this class. There are 42 verses. We are on 30. Very good. So is everybody okay with that? Everybody's okay? Yes. Right? Nobody is going. Friday is the Remembrance Day, but Sunday morning, because I think the Bal Vihar is not going to be there, but we can have the class. All right, I'm glad.